Right. So here is kind of a confession. The story that I am writing, Yogantar, the fantasy story set in a India-inspired fantasy universe or some kind of secondary Earth, etc., etc. It contains giants, like large people, like people the size of two-story buildings. They're not the only people in the story, but they're there in a very significant capacity. And I wanted to talk about giants because, as far as world building goes, I have seen that giants are kind of sort of treated a certain way in stories. Large people. I mean, there is a bias against large people when people write fantasy. Uh, Not always, obviously, because nothing is absolute, but in many cases, we see giants depicted as stupid. Now, I don't know why this is, but I have a few theories, so I will go through them first and then get to my point. The first theory is that there is intelligence and then there is brute force. And when people are intelligent, they don't need brute force, and people who have brute force don't need intelligence because brute force does all the work for them, and therefore, giants are depicted as big and dumb. They don't need intelligence because their physical strength alone is sufficient for them to get anything done. Now, I understand this logic, although there is at least one essay where Isaac Asimov has pointed out that in the real world, intelligence does not always equate good intentions, and therefore, depicting large people as dumb is at least, I mean, there are no giants in the real world. So we are not actually discriminating against people on the basis of their appearance. But within the scope of fantasy, there is some discrimination happening against giants. And I, as someone who's not large at all, must take offense at this, especially on behalf of the characters in my story who are not dumb. In fact, my reasoning, which was the point of this video, is that if you are large, if you're three times, four times the size of a normal human being, your head is larger, and consequently your brain is larger, and you're probably going to be more cerebral than the average human being. You have more memories, you remember more, and you may be even thinking more and coming to deeper conclusions about things. Now, there is no medical science to justify this behavior, justify this belief of mine, but there is some kind of a point here, as I am sure you will see. So, I hereby make a case for smart giants. And if you are a fantasy writing person, a writer of fantasy, an aspiring author of fantasy, maybe you should consider this possibility also. Does your story contain giants? If yes, then are your giants on an average being depicted as big and dumb? Because we have seen this. We have seen this in the Lord of the Rings movies, we have seen this in Harry Potter, we have seen this in so many stories that it's almost, I don't even have to describe to you. When I say big and dumb giant, an image comes to your head. And think about all the possibilities that open up when you open yourself up to the possibility of smart giants. Maybe there are other, like, I understand the point that if you create a race of giants in your fantasy story and they're all super smart, then any war with them is not going to be won, because not only do they have brute force on their side, they also have smarts on their side. So you can give them some other kind of handicap. You can reduce their population. Maybe there are just a few of them. You can cause them to have a disposition towards the world that makes them solitary. They don't want to fight. There are ways to deal with smart giants in your story, even though I understand it creates a certain kind of problem. And it looks nice when your hero is small and he defeats a large brute force giant through sheer intelligence. But that has kind of been done to death, I feel. And maybe there are other ways of doing this. And I'm sure you're smart enough, and even I'm sure you're more creative than me, so I don't have to spell things out for you. But my point is, give smart giants a chance. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that was my little video for this week. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, go through the archive. There are a few other videos. Maybe you will like some of them. And if you like some of them, maybe subscribe to the channel, because this channel is about this sort of thing. Bye bye.